This morning, I'm starting with Vanguard on the paper. Vanguard is leading with terrorism. Court jails Kanu for life. To forfeit the Biafran radio transmitter to the federal government, says its broadcast incited killings and destruction. Justice in Nigeria, not for Southeast, Abari Bay. Ndigbo imprisoned for life, ex-Senate President Wabara says. Nigeria has different laws for Southeast, Igbo women says. There is a double standard that's coming from Honor, page 5 as the story. And there is a photo story here taken at the launch of the book titled National Interest. Anya Aganga Akonde others chart way forward for Nigeria, page 5 as the story. Segun Awolowo is dead. Lagos raises 244.8 billion naira bonds for infrastructure, page 10 as the story. Atta responsible for Akwa Ibom's increase allocation, Jonathan says. Above the banner says Nigeria's entrepreneurship index rises to 0.4.7 points, according to report. As Congressman Riley meets Ribado, security chiefs in Washington. U.S. Congress highlights alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria. And lastly, on the Vanguard newspaper, ERUKU CHURCH ATTACK, pattern of targeted violence now clear. That's according to Kanu. You can find our story on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. Away from the Vanguard into the Punch leading story says, life jail for Kanu. Southeast leaders rally for political solution. Kanu to appeal judgment. Igbo elites to meet Tinubu. How Kanu sparked courtroom chaos before life sentence. Page 2 and 3 as the story. Alleged genocide. U.S. Congress feuds over Nigerians' CPC designation. Obafemi Awolowo's grandson, Segun, dies at 62. Ondo madman stabs NSCDC personnel to death. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Tinubu governor celebrates Jonathan at 68. You can find that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Away from the Punch into the Nation leading story says, firework in U.S. Congress over Nigerians' insecurity. Lawmakers built on religious labeling of insurgency. Tinubu sends Matawale to Kebbi, 900 troops to Kwara. DSS fires terrorism charges against 9 IPOB commanders linked to Simon Ekpa. Awolowo's grandson, Olusegun, dies at 62. And lastly, on the Nation newspaper, Lagos allocates 245 billion naira bonds to critical infrastructure. You can find that story on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And lastly, The Guardian is leading with U.S. lawmaker question Nigerians' will capacity to curb violence. Page 6 as the story. Major win for Nest Oil as court leaves access freeze in alleged $1 billion debt dispute. And that's all we have for the headlines of the dailies. Join us after the short break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Today in the News of Vanguard Life. My name is Malake Adebuju. Now let's move into our first story of the day. Court jails Nnamdi Kanu for life. A federal high court sitting in Abuja yesterday convicted and sentenced the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, to life imprisonment. Meanwhile, reacting to the judgment, former Senate President, Senator Adolphus Wabara, expressed fury over the life imprisonment which Justice Omotosho slammed on Kanu. This came as Igbo women rejected the judgment, saying it appears as if it had been written before the trial started. Trial Justice James Omotosho, in his judgment, found Kanu guilty on all 7 counts terrorism charges the federal government slammed against him. It held that the proof of evidence established that the defendants had, in his separatist agitation for the Biafran Republic, made a series of illegal radio broadcasts that incited violence and killings across the country. While Kanu was handed the life sentence on counts 1, 4, 5, and 6 of the charge, he received a 20-year jail term on count 3 and a 5-year term on count 7, without the option of a fine. Justice Omotosho said his decision not to give the maximum death penalty prescribed by the law was deference to a biblical injunction that required him to show mercy. He stressed that the convict was not only cocky and arrogant, but had repeatedly misbehaved throughout the trial, which had suffered a series of delays since 2015 when the charge was filed. Ordering that the sentence should run concurrently, the The court held that in view of the defendant's tendency for violence, he should be kept in protective custody in any correctional center apart from the one in Kuje, Abuja. It further ordered the defendant deserves protective custody due to his atrocities against the people of Southeast, adding that he should be kept in any custodial center in any part of the country. Now let's move into our second story of the day. ERUKU Church Attack. Pattern of targeted violence now clear, CAN says. The Christian Association of Nigeria has denounced the attack of Christ Apostolic Church in ERUKU, Kwara State, describing it as another disturbing sign of what is considered a growing and undeniable pattern of targeted violence against Christian worship communities nationwide. The assault, which left several worshippers dead and others abducted during a prayer service, has intensified calls for urgent and decisive national security action. In a statement signed by Archbishop Daniel Oko, president of Kanu, the association expressed deep grief over the killings and kidnappings and urged the government to act swiftly to rescue those still in captivity while ensuring that those responsible face justice. On behalf of the national leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria, I express sadness over the violent attack on Christ Apostolic Church in ERUKU, Kwara State, where worshippers were killed and several others abducted during a prayer service, Archbishop Oko said. So that will be all for today. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. And you can also visit us on our website for more interesting stories at www.vanguardngr.com. My name is Marla K. Adeoju. Have a lovely weekend.